Alles Gute zum neuen Jahr.
Shana Tova.
Feliz Año Nuevo.
Čuvo novoboršo.
Szczęśliwego Nowego Roku.
Gelukkig nieuwjaar.
Najbardziej szubkamnay. Z Nowym Godem.
新年快樂
Manigong bagong taon.
有选择要你的名了，别把这些。
Bonne année.
Na may saldi nga badanya.
Kali protokronia.
Buon anno.
新年快乐
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you for supporting all of us at the Queens Public Library. We wish you and your families a great New Year.
Begin 2023 with a library card. Get access to all our materials, including books, ebooks, e-magazines, music, movies, and more. Apply in person at your nearest QPL location or apply for an e-card online at queenslibrary.org. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is on January 16th. To honor this civil rights icon, we have special programs and recommended books and movies. Visit our blog at queenslibrary.org for more information. Join us for a new year of virtual author talks. Our Literary Thursday series brings you live conversations with amazing writers every Thursday at 6 p.m. Learn more at queenslib.org/Literary Thursdays. Celebrate Lunar New Year, the year of the rabbit, with our programs and book recommendations. You can learn more at queenslib.org/LNY2023.
Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. I'm Christopher Galarza, Queens Public Library's Community Health Educator. Today, we are joined by City Harvest, whose mission is to end hungers in communities throughout New York City through food rescue, distribution, education, and other practical, innovative solutions. Today, we continue with our series of workshops entitled Eat Healthy, Be Active that focus on nutrition information, budgeting tips, and staying active. Please welcome Sophia and Aaliyah from City Harvest.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia, and as well, we have Aaliyah. We're both nutrition education managers for City Harvest. City Harvest is a nonprofit that rescues food from grocery stores and restaurants to feed New York City. Our trucks travel to all the boroughs to pick up food and drop it off at all different food pantries and agencies. We also have 9 mobile markets where we give out rescued food in each borough. At our mobile markets, everyone gets food free of charge. So please visit the City Harvest website to view our food map and also more information about our mobile markets. Today, we are on our last Eat Healthy, Be Active workshop. These workshops are based on the Dietary Guidelines for Americans and the Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans. The Dietary Guidelines provide science-based advice for making food choices that promote good health and a healthy weight, and as well help prevent diseases. The Physical Activity Guidelines provide recommendations on the amount, type, and level of intensity of physical activity needed to achieve and maintain good health. Everything we eat and drink over time matters, so that's why it's important to start with small changes to make healthier choices. We all want to create a healthier eating pattern and create a lifestyle of healthy eating. These small changes can be making half our plate fruits and vegetables. We do want to focus on whole fruits and varying our vegetables, making half our grains whole grains, if not all. moving to low-fat or fat-free milk, varying our protein routine, and also drinking and eating less sodium, saturated and trans fat, and added sugar. Healthy eating and physical activity are the building blocks of a healthier life, which we'll talk more about today, which our activity will be focused on physical activity. The next slide. So we're already welcome back, and we're on our 6th workshop. We could, if you guys in the chat box, I would love to hear everyone's maybe favorite ways like that they like to sweat or how they like to work out. I love to run and box. What do you like to do, Aaliyah?
I like to dance. I like to lift weights. I have to mix it up though, because I get bored easily.
Yeah, really good point. A lot of times when you're not mixing it up, you can get really bored and then you're just like, I'm over this. I'm just not going to do this anymore. So that's why it's really important to constantly change things up to kind of get your brain thinking or just do different things. It also is a great way to trick your body. So when you're doing different things, you'll end up getting into better shape. So our purpose and objectives today. So the purpose we want to for today's workshop is to give you tips on the amount of physical activity you need each day and ways to include activity as part of your daily routine. Our objectives are to name 2 benefits of physical activity and the specific recommendation for aerobic and strengthening activities. Also, as well, complete at least 2 strength activities, which I'll kind of show you. I have some little things from my own gym bag that I love to pack myself. And also these are things that you could as well do at home. I'm all about having minimal things because obviously living in New York City, we don't have much space. So being able to do things and with very little movement. And as well to make a plan for doing physical activity and track activities for the next week. Okay, next slide. So be active your way, a fact sheet for adults. So the thinking about how do we want to do it. So I always say we want to pick an activity you could handle kind of doing a couple times a week. I got to give an example where I used to do a program that I would dread. I would wake up in the morning and I would not want to do it. So that's why you want to think about something that you can not completely dread. But I get if it's not always may not always your thing you're looking forward to, but you really want to start slow, thinking about maybe 10 minutes a day. You don't want to start big because if you go big, you're kind of just going to wipe out. You have to sometimes kind of be okay with the uncomfortable. Sometimes they say that maybe if you want to really get into running and people are like, I'm not okay with being uncomfortable, they say maybe to try like taking a cold shower and understanding maybe feeling that for like 30 seconds to kind of get okay with the uncomfortable. Also, the key is to kind of get lost. When I'm running or doing something, I kind of think about other things, making sure I have good music to play and just thinking about other things.
But Sophia, your point about taking like smaller, segments of time is so key. I mean, even if you're sitting in front of a television set, if you have 2 water bottles or 2 light weights, 3 pounds, you can totally do like bicep curls. I do that all the time. Stand up and do like 10 leg lifts on each side. It adds up and it gets you accustomed to doing something.
Yes, exactly. And also we should think about why we should be doing it. We don't want to be thinking because I want to burn calories. We want to be thinking about like the long run, thinking about fighting depression, building strength. Also, I always think about when I get older, I want to feel good and God forbid I fall, knowing I could get up. Also maintaining healthy weight, which I know, yes, working out does burn calories, but we also want to have fun. And how many times a week should we think about? I would say, depending on your level, start small by 3 times a week, then you kind of build up to 4 to 5. I personally work out 5 to 6 days a week, but I'm a person who really likes to work out. So if you're not a person who I get pumped up for the gym. So if you're not like that, that's okay. 3 to 4 is perfect. And then how to build up, as Aaliyah were talking about, we were saying just start with 10 minutes. Start slowly, then maybe build up 5 more minutes. And then soon you'll be able to do an hour and then you walk out feeling really happy and proud of yourself as well.
And I can't wait to see your tools because you can do everything at home. You really don't have to go to a gym. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I like the gym too, but there are so many different things you can do at home with stretch bands. You know, I saw another, I think it was a YouTube video where they have now, it's like all these exercises are focused on the wall. You can do them on the wall, use the wall as resistance. So it's exciting.
Yeah, you do not have to join a gym. You can honestly use social media or maybe look on your phone to see how you can work out at home. I'm a person, if I don't leave my house, I won't work out. So that's just me. But I know my mom, she loves to jump rope. So she jump ropes at home and that works for her. She says she's a person, if she joins a gym, she'll never go. So it's whatever works for you. Also thinking about doing aerobic activity. So we're thinking moderate versus vigorous activity. So moderate is going to be doing an activity where I could say maybe almost a full sentence, but while vigorous is I can only say a couple words. You're pretty out of breath if you say more. Then we at the bottom of this page, we see muscle strengthening activities. So we're always kind of changing it up. So aerobic, so thinking about our moderate 2 hours and 30 minutes a week, while vigorous is an hour, 15 minutes a week, and then kind of mix in as well some muscle strength activities. So thinking about lifting weights a couple days a week, since you don't want to be always doing cardio every day, since you will get exhausted. Okay, we can move forward. So kind of, I know I was saying how it feels like, but we could talk about different activities that are moderate versus vigorous. So moderate is going to be like dancing, biking, canoeing, walking briskly, also maybe swimming, while more of a vigorous is definitely running, jumping rope, hiking uphill, heavy gardening. I think the swimming depends on your pace. So swimming can either go moderate or vigorous, since they're saying and our moderate on the left-hand side as well. Also tennis, definitely. These are activities you're going to only be able to spit out a couple of words versus our moderate. Well, if you're walking briskly, you could have a conversation with somebody. Okay, next slide. We could skip over our stretch break because Aaliyah is going to show us how to make some delicious cookies, which I know in our other slide, there was someone showing how to make cookie dough, but this recipe is delicious too, because I love showing a dessert on the last day, since I think it's super important to also incorporate other things, that it doesn't always have to be like healthy recipes. But Aaliyah, what are we making today?
Oh, we're making these wonderful coconut banana cookies, and we're going to drizzle some chocolate on top. I mean, it's not only healthy, it's affordable. You get to use all of those ripe bananas that usually go in the garbage. It's just wonderful all the way around, and it's a great activity if you have kids. So I can't wait.
Yes, I always say I love recipes with minimal ingredients, because personally I don't have that. There's only 3 ingredients, which is perfect. Yeah, because I personally don't have that much pantry space, and then buying all these ingredients, and I'm like, oh my gosh, when am I going to ever use these like random ingredients again? But these are kind of commonly found in our pantry already. Maybe if you don't have chocolate chips, maybe that's something you'd be able to pick up, or maybe you have like leftover candy somehow, like, and you just could always melt it. That you could do that as well. That always works.
You can make a fruit coulis drizzle. Oh, there's so much you can do. We'll get to that.
Yes. So our muscle strength exercises. So there are other different ways. So I know Aaliyah was mentioning we could use either canned fruits or vegetables, or maybe like a water jug or other items in the house, and do different curls. If you're doing this at home, yes, you could totally go to the gym and do these exercises with the weight. But if you're someone like me, I also love these resistance bands. So I have a long one for my arms. I see Lee has them too. Yes, these are great for your arms. You could do different exercises. They're really just short ones, and you will feel it, believe me. So when you put your hands closer, it's a tougher resistance. So that's going to be harder, while you're putting your hands farther out. That's a little bit easier. Then I as well love this one for your thighs or your legs. I love doing crab walks with these. Also, just again, as Leah was mentioning, just lifting your leg to the side, that you could put this on and you'll feel it more. Because that's kind of the same thing if you put like a weight on the side of your leg. So again, if you don't have anything to pick up, or So I'm trying to think of just adding an extra weight, and it's maybe getting too easy. But it's also, I also believe if you're going to the gym, it's a good warm up to start getting your muscles ready to pick up weights.
And also, wow, Sophia, I'm so glad you mentioned about, doing the side leg lunges or even just picking them up. Balance is so important. I mean, as you age, you want to be stable. You want your ankles to be strong. And I'm realizing how important it is, since I've started like weight training and actually going to the gym, I feel more balanced. My legs don't seem as wobbly as they did, Age. You gotta do it.
I feel like people don't talk about balance a lot. Like it really starting with your abs is really important, starting with your core, because then everything kind of stems from there. Because a lot of exercises, you want to be able to stand still and not moving other parts of your body, which I know is really difficult. Also thinking about how much and how often. So I would say to be lifting 2 to 3 days a week, and thinking about you're doing 2 to 3 reps, and a rep can be 8 to 12, or it also depends how heavy it is. So if you're looking to try a heavier weight, then definitely decrease your rep to either 5 to 6. Or you could, let's say if you have very light weights, then that means you increase your reps. You do like 12 to 15, and you do 2 to 3 times. So no worries if you're like, oh my gosh, this is too light and I don't have the correct weight. This can is just too light. So just do it more longer, and then you'll start to feel at the end. The idea is you want to get to the sweet spot where that last one, you could barely even like lift your arm anymore. So that's where your sweet spot. Then if you know it's too heavy, if you get to your like second or third and you're just like done, it's too heavy for you. And that's okay. Believe me, I always say for females, it's really difficult to jump weight really fast. I will jump from a 10 to 12.5. It's really a slow pace. So don't get upset if others are picking up a weight a lot faster. I've been working out I've gone to the gym every day for like 5 years, and it still takes me time to up my weight.
And it really depends on what you're going for. Like some women, I want to be toned, but I don't want to be muscular. So, I think as you said, if you're trying to just go for toning your muscles, you want to do lower weight and more reps, right?
Yes.
And then if you're really trying to build, it's going to be the heavier weight with less reps.
Yes, I'm trying to build personally, so I'm trying. I've been learning. My friend taught me how to bench recently, so I've been benching, trying to up my weight. It's a little scary when you don't have someone to spot you, so it's important not to go too crazy because you don't want to wipe out or hurt yourself. But it's exciting.
You want to find a gym partner.
Yes.
And here are some muscle strengthening exercises, and they're doing exactly the same thing we talked about.
Yeah, they're showing exactly. So you see the front raise, either you could be holding a weight, or you could be using a band. So it's up to you. Also, you don't have to hold a weight. If you just kept your hands out, believe me, it's going to hurt. And the same thing with the side arm raises, you say versus just holding on the side. Again, you don't have to use a weight. And as well, you could also use a resistant band.
And there's a wonderful selection of like chair exercises too. Chair exercises.
Yes, as we see the person with different weights using the resistant band or using the weight, and also just even kicking back, holding on to something and kicking back with your leg. You also can create a log, so that way you can kind of keep track of where you are, kind of create a goal for yourself. I personally don't do this always, but I see a lot of people at the gym do this, and it could be helpful for some people. It's right what I did, also what effort, like kind of how I felt, and then write down how many reps and like maybe your weight as well, kind of seeing how you're progressing. I also think it's important. Maybe I don't personally own a scale, so how I like to judge my progress is based off of pictures. and also how my like clothes fit. I'm not a person to jump on the scale. I think if you are trying to lose weight, I think it is a good way to start. Like you just jump on the scale once and then maybe come back to it a month or two later. Jumping on the scale every day is really not healthy. Your weight is constantly changing, either for water weight, whatever you might have ate the other day. So getting on, you could really get pretty upset because then you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck happened? I was less weight yesterday. Now I gained weight and I've been doing so well. So I would, and also, I personally, when I've been working out, I've been gaining weight, it's not that I'm gaining fat, I'm just gaining muscle. So I'm probably at my heaviest weight. A lot of times people get shocked when I tell them how much I actually weigh because I'm 5'1", I'm pretty petite. And then people get really shocked. They're like, whoa, I did not expecting that. But it makes sense when you're working out. Also, this is a little chart to show how many calories you're burning when you're doing moderate and vigorous. So obviously vigorous, you're gonna be burning more calories. Men tend to burn, I guess, calories faster than women. So annoying. But again, I always say, let's work out to feel good, not to burn calories. But when it comes to losing weight, it would whatever you want to be burning more than you're taking in. And then to gain weight is you're taking in more calories than you're burning. And then to keep the same weight, it's even.
Do you remember? I just thought of this. I remember when I was younger, we used to do hula hoop. That is so incredible for the core.
Yeah.
You can keep it up. When I first started, I couldn't even keep it up on my waist. I said, oh no, okay. So you really have to move it like in a circular motion. It has to be exact. It's amazing. Have you seen I've seen videos with people that like are experts and their waists are always snatched. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I see that's like a big thing now. Everyone gets hula hoops or like weighted hula hoops. I see it online. People just stand and also just watch TV or maybe you could or do another thing. That way you could just be in one place.
And they're like $4.99 at your corner dollar store.
As a kid, I don't know what was it called, but it would be you put on your ankle and then it would be like a ball that you had to jump over and then you had to hop. I feel like that's also good for your core and there's everything.
Yeah, we had a lot of like physical activity toys that we were always outside playing handball, running, jumping. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom said she used to play double dutch. I don't know if you did the same thing, Aaliyah, because Aaliyah and my mom went to the same high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if anyone ever had one. It's like a board it's like a rolling piece, and you have to balance on the board because it goes back and forth. I remember my brother getting it for Christmas, and we'd be playing on that for hours. It's like really good for your balance. I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure people who really like to snowboard will be helpful for balancing. But yeah, it's this like little piece that rolls back and forth, so you balance and try to keep your balance going back and forth.
So important. But right on time for the next slide.
Yeah. So be active your way as you get older. So again, I was saying, I always think I'm not thinking about now, I'm thinking about the future, which I know it's really hard. We're always like thinking about, okay, we want to think about things that are going to happen right now. We want to see it happen. We want to see the results. But again, I want to, knowing when I'm older, I'm going to feel okay. Also just knowing that, I also think about I feel like everything comes as a whole. Like my skin feels better, and then I'm drinking more water. I'm staying hydrated, and also about thinking about what activities you should be doing. Again, like when you're working your way up, you're doing about 40 minutes to an hour each day. But again, start with 10 minutes, and again, don't overwork yourself. When you're tired, that's when you get hurt. So be very careful. So when you're tired, it's like, okay, it's time. It's okay. Let's say if my workout has to be done early, I've totally been there. I'm exhausted. I need to go. It's also really important to maybe eat something before you work out. I like to work out in the morning, and I totally get it. When I wake up at 5 a.m. and the idea of eating something at the crack of dawn is makes me feel nauseous. But I will have something super plain just to have something. Because honestly, I've been there where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel really dizzy at the gym. I'm feeling really lightheaded, and you can't even finish your workout because you didn't eat, and you could have solved it in the beginning, but you just with the idea of eat. I get it. I totally understand. But again, food is fuel.
You could just have a hard-boiled egg. You know, sometimes if I'm running in the morning and I know I don't have time to have a big breakfast, I'll just have a hard-boiled egg, a smoothie quickly, you know, throw in some fruit and just have a smoothie, you know.
And again, it's always important to talk to your healthcare provider for any guidance or if you're studying anything new, and especially if you are hurt. Again, then we have like our examples of aerobic and muscle strengthening. So aerobic is going to be walking, dancing, jogging, tennis, and then muscle strengthening is going to be exercises involving like weights, machines, also even carrying groceries. I always feel it when I come back from Trader Joe's. I feel that on my shoulders. Digging, gardening. These are all definitely muscle strengthening activities.
Tai Chi is wonderful too. If you like any of the slower movements. I mean, that is so great, not only for the body, but for the mind as well.
I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments to put in the chat box, since we are going to go. Leah is going to show us how to make some delicious cookies. Now, if you're someone like me, I always want something sweet after lunch and also after dinner too. So this is a great way to kind of curb that cravings for something sweet, and also super easy. That way, if you just have some bananas, some shredded coconut, and you have yourself a cookie.
I want to talk about some of the things that you said. I think the idea of like finding out what works for you, I think that's a really big thing, and sometimes it takes a lot longer than we want it to. You know, I know like with me, I I like to do like hit workouts, high intensity interval training, and you know because just sitting there and lifting and you know and then you wait the 30 second to 1 minute between sets. It's like it's a lot for me, and I get bored easily. So having like different variety of even weight training is really important. You know, we always talk about different types of cardio, but also there's different types of weight training that we can be doing. And then the resistance. I also have my resistance band here at work. I like to use it for just for mobility, really. You know, sometimes you get a little tight sitting at a desk all day, and so just taking 5 minutes to stretch it out is a lot of fun. Um, and then I was surprised that you said that you don't keep a journal. I really like my journal. I and not so much of like this is what I weighed today. This I use it more as like okay, so I did, um like 20-pound bicep curls, 4 by 12. Now I know I can like go up in weight and then reassess. You know, I really like to have like a numerical value rather than because I don't know. What do you say?
No, I see everyone doing that too. I think sometimes the reason why I don't like, I'm number one, I'm kind of lazy when doing that and knowing to pack that in my gym bag because I would have to write at the gym. Sometimes though, if I lifted that heavy, I may not be able to lift heavy another day.
Okay.
Personally, I know it's also important for females to be working out to their menstrual cycle, because sometimes you may feel different depending on your day of your cycle, and it's also important to each your cycle as well. So just for females, you may like, oh my gosh, why was I able to lift this last week and then next week can't do it. So just that kind of just so you don't feel so bad.
Oh no, I mean that's really important. That's great. It looks like Aaliyah's back. Hey, Aaliyah.
Hey. Such a good conversation today about physical activity. I love that lesson. And I welcome you back to my kitchen today. We're going to do something that's really fun. My colleague Sophia actually found this recipe on social media, and I think I've made it at least 3 times since, I first found out about it. First of all, it's wonderful because there's only 3 ingredients. Okay. Today we're going to work with some toasted, oh no, this is not toasted. This is unsweetened, shredded coconut. Okay. Oh boy. Don't we love when we can find a recipe that will help us use these very ripe bananas? Yes. And we're going to use some chocolate. You don't even need a cutting board for this recipe. That's how much I love it, right? So not only is it affordable, it's healthier than most, right? And kids will eat it, all right? And there's lots of wonderful vitamins involved. We're getting coconut, which has... Sophia, what kind of vitamins can we get from coconut? What's the benefits of coconut? I mean, I know Go ahead.
I'm thinking of getting some fats. That way it's important to be getting enough fats for water-soluble vitamins. I'm always because I don't know, probably a decent amount of fiber as well. And I know for coconut water, I never was a fan of coconut water until I started training for the marathon, and that really helped me for hydration. So if you're a person who's doing a lot of physical activity, I definitely recommend getting coconut water.
My grandson loves coconut water. And and it's so expensive right now too. So if you have a membership at one of those larger, wholesale stores, it might be, beneficial to actually get it in bulk if you love it. So as you can see, I use this very ripe banana, okay? And it was a medium-sized banana. So how much coconut should we use? I'm going to add a cup because the consistency that you're looking for, you want it to be, like a little pasty so it'll hold together for when you put it in the oven. Yep, you do put this in the oven, but for like 10 minutes. And I swear to God, it tastes just like a cookie. I'm not kidding. I was so fascinated with this. I was like, oh my God, no added sugar, no flour. So I'm just going to add that coconut to my bowl with the banana and a little cinnamon. Of course, you can add nutmeg if you like, or allspice, or you could just have it as is. So now a fork. You need a bowl and a fork, guys. I'm just going to mix that up. And while I'm mixing, I actually have the chocolate in a double boiler on the stove, melting. So I've heard recently that dark chocolate might contain more lead it might contain lead, period. So you can totally use milk chocolate as well, or you could put a strawberry on top. You can make like a strawberry coulis and use that to wetten it up a little bit, But today I am going to be using some dark chocolate that I had. I just recently, found out that I should probably switch to milk chocolate for a while. All right. So as we mix this up, and if by chance your mixture should come out like too pasty and it's not able to hold like a ball, just add a little bit of water to it to loosen it up. Okay. And actually, you should be okay because the oils in the coconut kind of come forward when you hold it in your hand. So I'm just going to add a little spray to my pan. The oven is at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take, depending on your oven. If you want them a little bit more darker and caramelized, we can keep them in for about maybe 12 minutes. I actually did a batch earlier, which I'm going to show you. And I like them a little bit crunchy. I like that caramelization. So see, this is what we're trying to achieve right here. And you can flatten it out or you can leave it as a ball. Or just put it on your pan, right? I actually have a finished batch. So this is how mine came out. Cookies, guys. Like real cookies. So, I've got some chocolate here. And if you don't have a double boiler, you can simply just take a pot, put some water in it, and then place a metal pot on top, a metal bowl on top. And make sure you handle it. I have a pot holder here because this is very hot. It gets very hot, so be careful. And it usually takes like maybe 10 minutes to melt the chocolate. And so what I'm going to do now is just put a little drizzle on each one of these. These are great for a kid's party. Instead of that traditional, sweet birthday cake, you can make something like this. I wonder if you can make this into a cake. I might have to try that. So anyway, you just add a little bit of chocolate to top. And voila, there you go. How cute is that?
Those look so good.
You know what else? Oh my God, I just got a vision of a slice of strawberry underneath. Right?
Perfect for Valentine's Day.
And look, they stay together. It's like, and there's no flour. The banana, it's crazy, Sophia. Oh, Christopher, you want to make these?
Okay, I'll take your word on it. I love both banana and coconut, so.
Really, really good. And so, did you have any more questions, Christopher, for us, or?
If anyone has any questions or comments, please, put them in the chat. I think I want to go back to your lesson. I think one of the things that you were talking about was not always using, your weight as an indicator of, progress, which is, I think, really important. Sometimes seeing the scale is discouraging if you're obsessing over it, and anything, just like with eating, obsessing over something can lead to just demotivation, and just using it as a guideline is great, or using measurements. I like to use measurements, measuring my waist, measuring how big like my biceps and shoulders are. I think that's a really like good way of not being so number focused.
Yeah, I agree, Christopher. Just, I always tell people when they ask me, because, they know what I do, and they say, well, how can I lose weight? Just eat healthfully most of the time. Have your treats in moderation. Adopt an exercise program of some sort. And like Sophia said earlier, make it something that you like to do. But that really is the key. As we know that, bad diets, they don't work because you can't maintain them. If you can't maintain something, then think about it. It's not going to be here forever, And like you said, you get demotivated every time you fail. So it's basically just adopting, a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's really looking at it as a holistic approach, right? So if you are, having large portions and not eating healthfully, but exercising every day, it's all that exercise is still not going to be helping you as much as it could be by having an entire package. And I think also you showed how many, what's the typical calories that you burn when exercising, and I really think it's I think we overestimate how much we're actually burning. Like someone says, "Oh, I went for a run. I can have, basically like another meal." And really, no, it's really just a snack that covered, right? So if you're going to go for running or you're going to go exercise and you have a candy bar afterwards, well, that you basically negated the calories that you burned. And just I think being more mindful is something that we have to be.
I used to do that. I used to do the exact thing, Christopher. I would go like, okay, I can go to BBQ's tonight, and tomorrow I'll just work an extra hour. But you're right, the calories do never equal the amount of time, unless you're like Sophia, who's like super athlete, you know what I'm saying? But it is important when you're younger. It's wonderful because you are really making a foundation, Sophia, that you will carry throughout your entire life. But as you get older, you fall off, you know what I'm saying? And your body changes. So like Christopher said, doing it because you want your body to be healthy should be the first priority. The weight will fall in, it'll fall right in. Once you make up your mind, I just want to be healthy, and it has to be a mind-body connection. You can't be so critical of yourself. Be gentle. It takes time, it takes time.
Yeah, and also talking about balance and mobility. Um, you guys, I think, nailed it on the head where you said it's not talked about often, especially mobility. You always see people who spend all day in the gym and then they can't like lift their arms or close their arms, and that also is impeding to your physical health, right? So now you can't do your regular movements that our bodies were designed to do. So just spending, I mean, I like to spend 5 days in the morning and 5 days after my 5 days, 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes after my workout, you know, just stretching because it's like, oh, I need to get that out. Otherwise, you're stuck like this. It increases tension and stress in our lives, which also is really deleterious to our health.
And if you don't stretch after lifting, you can hurt yourself. You'll be in pain for the next like 2 days. Personal experience. Okay. I'm working with a trainer now, and I have to stretch after I work out with him. And he says, don't forget to stretch. And I did one time. I said, oh, I'll do it when I get home. It never happens. You have to. Now I'm training myself. Just do it all. I'm here. Just do it. And I swear my muscles, because what happens is as you're lifting, and correct me as I go, Sophia, when you're lifting, your muscles actually get tensed up, right? And then you need to stretch because what's the scientific reason? What happens with the blood? And I think it has to do with the blood or.
Well, when it comes to flexing and the tensing of your muscles, it's like the different ions going in and out, like the potassium. But it's really most important so you don't get hurt. I was the same way. I refused to stretch. It was really bad. And guess what happened to me? I got hurt when I was training for the marathon, and I was lucky that I was still in the middle of summer. So I took a month off and did not run. A lot of people will have this issue where they continue to work out on a hurt muscle or like if you hurt your bone or whatever, and then they end up being out even longer. So I get it. I know I was really upset, but I told myself, okay, I'd rather take this month out rather than taking years out or constant like a forever pain, which I did not want to have a forever pain constant, because I know people like knee injuries can be really bad for me. I like hurt my foot. And it's also really important thinking about sneakers, thinking about what kind of sneakers. Don't always go after the sneakers that are really big with the marketing. So you want to go into specific like running sneakers or depending what you're doing.
Yeah. Balance and stretching for mobility, for continued mobility. I mean, even when, I'm doing like the overhead curls with, I'm like, okay, so my shoulders are benefiting, but you know what else is benefiting? The spine. I'm more conscious of the way I'm standing now. If I feel myself like leaning over, I'm like, oh, pull those shoulders back, because it's so important,
Yeah, and I think that leads back to, listening to your body, right? So if you feel unaligned and out of line, you probably are unaligned, and so always checking back in. And you guys were talking about that uncomfortable sensation, right? It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's not okay to be in pain. So if it's hurting, you should stop immediately. And just always have that constant feedback loop. Um, is really important. It's not a linear progression in any of this. It's not a linear progression in working out and eating healthfully. It's some days are great, some days are bad, and some days are just okay, and some days are, and most days are probably going to be just okay, because and it's just accepting that and saying, well, I did what I did today, and that's what I did.
And that's okay,
Hmm.
But you know what else, Christopher? This is like, I think that the first thing to go, or what you notice in terms of being off balance or just not as stable, the knees.
Hmm.
The knees, okay? And so what I've learned is that a lot of times what we could do to remedy, like I'm talking about a light knee pain. I'm not talking about something that's consistent. You should go see your doctor. But I just remember like my knees being very weak when I wasn't working out. And it's just stretching. Like you were saying, those hamstrings get very tight and they pull on the knee because it's all attached. Hamstrings and those quads. Sophia, what do you do to stretch your quads?
I can't, like, I wish I could get up and show you because I do. So when I will do, like, it depends what I'm doing. So when I go on, like, like before I run, I do like leg swings, and then I also go on my tiptoes and I'm going up and down, and then constant leg swing up and down, up and down. When I finish, I then will do like, I pick up my leg, the sweat,
Yeah.
and then after that, I pull that leg back, and then my front leg is bent. So then I as well get that stress, and then do the other leg, and then I also will put my hands on the treadmill, and then I put one of my legs, I fold it over the other leg like this, and then do the other one, and then as well, then you also go up your tiptoes, bend your knees forward, and then take another deep stretch. I've like really got into stretching after it got hurt myself. I was like, this isn't happening again.
Can you guys sit on your knees? I cannot. I'm working towards sitting on my knees. They're so. You can sit on your knees, Christopher?
Yeah, sit on your knees and then lay backwards.
Yeah.
It's really tight, but it feels so good afterwards, or another one for that I like is going up against the wall and having your leg up against the wall, and you sit back into it. Really
Yeah.
helps the front of the thigh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I explained that well, but
Doing
um,
it on my counter.
and then another thing, and this was something that I learned because I also, when I was younger and was more active, I would have a lot of issues with like my legs. My feet are really poor, like biomechanical design. And so sometimes, along with stretching, even just using those resistance bands to work on things. So
Right.
y-
Yes.
yep, but working on those like micro movements can really really help. So just moving your leg out. So I'm sorry, using from like your ankle and just kind of pushing out with a resistance band while it's tied to something, really helps strengthen your ankles. And so we also don't have to think about these like heavy lifts, even as you were saying before, just moving and exercising those small little movements can also make a big impact.
So key what you just said about strengthening the ankles. I never thought about strengthening my ankle, but I'm working with a trainer now. And he's like, well, that's why you're feeling wobbly. And I was like, really? And he did a test to see how strong my ankles were. It was bad. Like a month ago. It's getting so much better. Another one that you can do is just like put your, like a lunge, right? And let your knee hit the floor, right? So you're down with your hands and just take your knee as far as you can over your toe and then lift your toes off the ground. That's another one that strengthens the ankle. It's so important.
Yeah. So if no one has anything to say in the chat, I just want to say thank you so much, Sophia and Aaliyah, for joining us in this 6 workshops. It's been a blast. It's been really great. And is there one thing that each of you want to say about, whether it's City Harvest or the Eat Healthy, Be Active curriculum that you really want to drive home before we end today?
I just want to say, keep trying, do your best. Be gentle with yourself and make small changes.
And I always say it's what you could add, not take away.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having us, Christopher.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us. Hope you all have had a great new year, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.